What's up, everybody? This is Healing Intentions, and I'm your host, Adrian Mehmedi. This podcast is about natural health and wellness, mental health, cannabis, psychedelics, philosophy, and spirituality. Today, my guest is Ben Schwartz, a fourth-year naturopathic medical student and colleague of mine who I've had the pleasure of getting to know more throughout our time in school. Ben and I share many interests and beliefs about things like the brain, the planet, and, of course, natural healing. Let's dive in. Hell yeah, man. I'm glad we could make this happen finally. It's been a long time coming.
I know. This'll be good. Also, I think as your second podcast, because I'm someone who's been going through exactly what you've been going through the last 4 years.
Yes.
So we can share a lot of information.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've done a little bit of an addition with the chiropractic degree as well. So you have some more lovely radiology classes with professors I never got a chance to.
Oh, man. I don't miss those. I don't miss those one bit.
Yeah, but yeah, lots to talk about, man. I'm excited. I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited this is happening. I'm excited for this joint right here.
This should be fun. This should be a good time.
Pablo picked his favorite for the episode.
I know. We got to switch places. If I was over there, Pablo would be up there.
So today we've got some crazy glue, really nice sativa.
Crazy glue.
Yeah, it smells like crazy glue.
It's wild, man.
Yeah, and it's a really powerful sativa, very cerebral. So get ready for the ride.
The names that people come up with
for
cannabis strains, how do I get that job?
Right.
I want that job, man.
Well, we got to come up with some of our own genetics.
Yeah.
And I came up with this one. I even reserved the domain name back in California. It's just making me remember now. Alkaline Kush.
You have that?
Yeah. AlkalineKush.com.
Like, you have that copyrighted?
Yeah. No, not copyrighted. I didn't go through that process.
Or just...
But I thought of that because growing the cannabis with Kangen water, which is alkaline.
Yeah.
I just think that the idea is there.
I love that. I had no idea. This is the first time.
Yeah.
I just said we've known each other for 4 years, and I've absolutely never known that.
Yeah. I just remembered. I haven't told you. There's a lot of stuff, man. I've told you a lot, but
man, yeah. I think the names of some of these are just. I enjoy it so much more when I can connect to the name.
Yeah.
Funny
names like. This is permanent. I remember that was one of them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, and I've had friends, experiences where they've smoked or they've been newer to it and they've been super high. And then all of a sudden in the middle of it, a couple hours later, they're like, Adrian, am I going to be like this forever?
I think that's everyone's like first or second time.
Yeah,
for sure. At least first or second time where you have too much.
Right.
And you haven't learned how to corral your thoughts yet.
Exactly.
Then you just go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Create a name of a strain right now, off the dome. 2 words. Ready?
Oh, wow. Oh, here's another one that
Okay.
I thought about, but I've already had it. I just created Kangen Kush.
That's perfect.
KK.
I mean, you could have some good investors for that.
Right.
I have a good feeling.
The company might not be totally on board,
You don't
but
think?
we're gonna get them there.
Give it till 2022,
Yeah.
and we'll start talking.
Japan will legalize medical cannabis, hopefully,
Yeah.
by that point. If they don't already, I'm not sure about that one.
That's a good one. Yeah, I don't know. I got a feeling they're ahead of the times. I'd like to think.
They're ahead of the times in many ways. I know that they were texting like 10 years before the U.S. even was.
Texting?
Texting, yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And even in Europe, texting was a thing. I remember they'd say AMS or SMS messages. I'm going to send an SMS.
Man, how we've advanced. I remember having, what was it, like $20 a month or something on your pay-as-you-go, and every text was like 5 cents or whatnot. And you'd have to stop conversations in order to like meet your financial limit.
That's right. That's right. I remember that.
That's insane.
Talking to family over in Europe, and my parents always be like, "Okay, hurry up! It's expensive. Hurry up! Come on!" Like now it's like unlimited. I remember back then being like, "Oh, one day they'll be awesome. They'll have video, and you just have it." And here we are. That's that day.
I know we say it all the time. We're cyborgs.
Yeah,
we are cyborgs.
I agree with Elon Musk when he says that if we don't integrate with AI, I fear that they might take us over. And I know that's some crazy talk, but look, we already are kind of like AI. We have our cell phones on us nonstop, and people are literally, addicted to them, myself included. If you see add up the screen time that Apple keeps track of, I'm on my phone 8-9 hours a day.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Especially during this quarantine, it's you just watch your time on your phone just skyrocket.
Yeah,
and your iPad or computer, or whatever it be. It's strange, but yeah, we're already so a part of our phones. We have a whole other person on the other end of the phone.
Exactly.
It's insane.
Yep.
It's really insane.
Oh, hey, before I forget, I wanted to start the podcast with checking in with yourself.
Oh, right.
Got this from Dr. Charlie Cropley. He's in Colorado. And my old ND intern that was in the clinic at National University of Health Sciences was Alex Orton, who's now Dr. Alex Orton. Shout out to both of them.
Shout out.
And just was watching Rozzy Berry's Love is Medicine podcast or video series. And on episode 5, Dr. Charlie Cropley talks about checking in with somebody. And, it's really a movement of kindness. It's really saying, I care about you. And, kind of tell me how you're doing right now. So in 3 words, Ben, check in with yourself right now and tell me how you're doing.
All right. Well, since I'm with you, number 1, first word, always, of course, I got to be special.
Good one.
Let's see. Special. I'll be open and appreciative.
Beautiful.
Let us begin. How about you?
I am excited. Grateful, and a little anxious. I've definitely been on edge throughout this quarantine. Being home, I'm very much an extrovert, so I get a lot of energy from being around people, and not having that quite as much has been tough for sure.
Definitely a huge challenge for everyone. How have you been coping with that? Everyone's strategies are so different, man.
Yep. I've been really focusing on meditating. I've been using the Insight Timer app, which I really like a lot. Which actually one of my patients in the clinic told me about, which I thought was cool.
Cool.
They always say you learn a lot from your patients, and it really is true.
I definitely believe that.
And so I use that app, and every morning I try to do it like first thing right when I wake up, but some point in the early morning, right, in the early part of the day, I'll set the timer for even 10 minutes, sometimes even just 5. And I got this nice little meditation cushion off of Amazon that I just started using. But before that, I would just sit on my couch.
It makes a world of difference.
It is. It really is nice. I'd recommend it for sure. But even just sitting in a chair on your couch, wherever, and, just being quiet and going within and just kind of trying to quiet your mind. And, it's an exercise. People say, oh, well, what is meditation? I don't really get it. It's, you can't stop your thoughts. Like, that's nearly impossible. But you're the whole exercise is you have a thought, and then you kind of just observe it and watch it go by like a cloud or a wave in the ocean. And then you go back to your breath or to your mantra or whatever you're using, and then another thought comes in, and then you go back to your breath, and another thought comes in. And then every time you go back to your breath and kind of refocus, that's the practice. And you're just, the more you do it, the easier it gets, and you get quite a bit out of it, not only physiologically, but mentally, even spiritually.
Definitely. And the effects are lasting. It's not only during the meditation.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of people, I feel like, have the wrong idea about it which might even steer them away from trying it
Mm-hmm.
for an extended period of time. I feel like everyone would be like, all right, let's give this a shot.
Right.
15 minutes, let's do it. But it's not, people get frustrated when they can't quiet their thoughts.
Right.
They feel like, well, I'm not doing it right because I'm still thinking about this and that and whatnot. And every time I try to not think about it, boom, it pops right back up.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea is letting that thought come, processing it, feeling it,
Right.
saying I'm aware of how I feel, and letting it pass.
Right.
And the more you do that, the better you get at it,
Mm-hmm.
and that persists during the day, not just the meditation.
Exactly. Yeah, well said. And it's just, we feed our bodies every day with food, and it's like, what are you doing for your mind every day? And this is like a
Right.
mental exercise.
Right.
Right. It's doing a lot of things. It's on so many levels, and it seems like, what? Just sit there in silence for a few
Mhm.
minutes? Like, what could that do? Sometimes the simplest things have the most profound impact,
Yeah, I mean, think about when we didn't have like internet or cell phones or whatnot. There would be so many times throughout a day that you would be in silence. You would be with your thoughts.
Right.
No TV.
Yep.
No, Facebook, whatever it be. No phone to reach out and actually talk to someone.
Mhm.
You'd be alone.
Mm-hmm.
It's a normal thing. It's a part of us, and
Right.
we're kind of neglecting it.
Yep.
And meditation will definitely bring you back to that.
Exactly. Yep.
Mhm.
I agree. Yeah. So that's awesome. I'm curious, what was kind of like your path to naturopathic medicine? Tell me about all that. Tell me your story.
Mhm. Yeah. So, like I said, you and I we're on our 4th year
Yeah.
of knowing each other, and our 4th year of school. We graduate in August.
Yeah.
We'll be doctors in August.
Yep.
Let's see. For me, it was. I mean, we've talked about this, so you know a little bit.
Right. For our listeners.
Mm-hmm. But I definitely started in college. Obviously, I had intention to be in the healthcare field.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that one was gonna get me.
Yep. Oh, what do you know? It was just 420. It's 421.
Was it really?
Uh-huh.
That was just a little hello.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so yeah, I had the idea that I wanted to be a part of healthcare. Now, when I was in college and I was going through what we called the Health Professions Advisory Group,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know enough. I knew that I wanted to help people with their health. That's all I knew. I didn't know if I wanted to specialize in anything, work with autoimmune, arthritis, like any of those conditions. I had nothing like that. I just knew I wanted to help people. Throughout going through my time with the Health Professions Advisory Group, I was like, this is super strict, super almost like blanking on the word.
Authoritarian.
Yeah, nice. It was like very I don't know, it was uncomfortable. You felt pressured. It was super competitive. It didn't feel like it was this encouraging, supportive environment,
Mm-hmm.
which totally turned me away from it. But I kept going, and thankfully I had this advisor who randomly one day, I was with her enough throughout the week to where she could see I was kind of losing interest in being the traditional kind of doctor. And she sent me an email, just an email, not even face to face, just not even check this out, just forwarded me an email for naturopathic medicine. And I read that, and I remember I read it, I didn't think anything of it, and then like a week or two later, I just circled back around to it and like dove into it one night at like midnight, 1 a.m. And learned so much about it, and was like, this is it. This is exactly what I had in mind for medicine. Exactly what I had in mind. And I chose to do that instead. and it's sort of a funny story for me, and I'm sure there are other naturopathic doctors or even medical students who have this same idea. But for me, I've even when I said I'm gonna pursue naturopathic medicine, I almost, other than my advisor, didn't feel supported, as if it wasn't the real deal. It wasn't, like, I don't know, surgery and in the hospital kind of medicine.
Right.
So it was like not real. It was not real to my school, and
To your undergrad.
to my undergrad. Yeah. And but to my advisor and another, I'll call her an advisor. She was pretty much an advisor. Two women on the faculty there just saw it through, saw naturopathic medicine for exactly what it was. We talked about it deep all the time. And I was like, you know what? Like, thank you for this. Like, you are the pivotal role and part of my life that pushed me to this.
That's amazing.
I know and I, like I said, I feel like a lot of people have had that same exact experience where they don't align with traditional medicines or Western medicines, I'll say, because I feel like naturopathic medicine is really the traditional medicine,
right?
Prior to all of these advancements in technology and whatnot. But yeah, it doesn't always align with that person, and so many people don't even know naturopathy exists.
Yep.
I have so many friends who still don't really understand what I'm doing. They'll call me the essential oil doctor, and I'm like, yeah, if that's what you want to think, but it's so much more than that. And I'm sure that throughout any time in this podcast that however many guests you have on here, people who listen will start to open up and understand naturopathic medicine. But yeah, it's the one for me, and I haven't looked back. I mean, 4 years in, you and I know how happy we are, and our vision for the next, I don't know, 60 years of our lives. Like, we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, natural medicine is not going to be going down. It's only going up.
Right.
From here on out,
There's a huge emphasis on prevention.
Right.
And that's exactly what we do.
Yep.
It's exactly what we do.
Yep. That's beautiful. Well said. And, it's funny, each of our different paths that bring us to naturopathic medicine, mine is completely different, and it's, but kind of similar too, in a way. Like, I took a little detour for a minute. I wanted to be a doctor my whole life, signed up undergrad as a biology major at DePaul University in the city, Chicago. And, at the time I had a cousin that was doing really well in the mortgage industry. And I'm like, wow, I want to make a lot of money. Like, I want to do that quickly. Like, I don't want to be old when I'm a doctor. I know you have to do residency and all this stuff. And then, so then I switched my major to finance, in undergrad at DePaul, and that's what I did: business, finance, accounting with a sales minor, and like totally a different path, but like I was good at that stuff, and it's such an interesting, when you think about it, just because you're good at something doesn't mean that needs to be your career, and I was very good at, Excel spreadsheets and analytical, let's add these up and make these formulas, and like, great, but I didn't enjoy it, especially like as a full-time job. Like, when I did that as my first job out of school, it was not fun. But funny enough, we invested in natural and organic food and beverage products at my very first job.
You dipped your toes.
Yeah, I was at Whole Foods like 12 years ago.
Yeah,
just blowing my mind open. Like, holy shit, this stuff exists out there.
You were out in California.
Yeah.
You were out there where the whole energy is totally different.
Yep.
It's shifted toward natural medicine, and it's been that way.
Yep.
So you got to live in that.
Yep. Yeah, I lived in California for a year and a half, 9 months in Newport Beach. It was a mile from the ocean, and that was incredible.
Man, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, it was amazing. And then I lived in LA for like 7-8 months, and in Koreatown, which is very interesting. Very nice little pocket of LA. A lot of great Korean barbecue.
Oh, I was about to say the food.
Oh man, so much great international vibes. And yeah, California just completely, changed me, and I got a taste for that. You know, people say, what do you like about it so much? The weather. And I'm like, yeah, the weather is amazing. But it's the vibe, it's the people, it's the mentality of the people that the random person you talk to at the grocery store.
It's tangible.
Yeah.
You can feel it.
Yep.
When you and I went out there, we went to San Francisco. We had the pleasure of traveling.
Yep.
What a privilege it was.
Yep.
And that was my first time, and I had been dying to get out there and feel it.
Yeah.
And you really feel it. You really do.
Yeah. And it's well said, beautiful. You really feel it, and it's such a different feeling from Northern California to Southern California. They're both great in their different ways. In their own different ways. Southern California is more sunny for sure, a little warmer, definitely more of the beach, vibe. People go to the beaches and stuff a lot.
Right.
And, parts of it can be definitely a little more materialistic, egotistic, but I try to stay away from that.
Sure.
That's in every city. That's in Chicago.
Find that everywhere.
That's everywhere. So, nice. So what is it about naturopathic medicine necessarily that, like, what drew you to it? Like, what was it about naturopathic medicine?
Well, let's see. Best way to say that would be it's everything and it's okay, so this is health, and it's everything before health. It's how you're reaching health. It's not after health.
Right.
It's not the part where you're no longer healthy. You've passed that and you're moving toward unhealthy, and that's when you seek your doctor.
Yeah.
Granted, we do that.
Right.
I mean, we help a lot of acute conditions, chronic conditions, but like I said earlier, it's super preventative. It's the simple stuff. A lot of people, a lot of doctors for sure would sit in on a visit of ours and say, well, duh, you have to sleep more. But it's just knowing the science about that and taking medicine back to just the basic biology and how you can fine-tune that without super high-tech intervention and reach the same goal. It's biohacking. We're hacking our biology to achieve the same thing. Now that's obviously a verbose way of saying it, but it's also just it's what seems right. Yeah. You are what you eat. Everyone's heard that since they were a kid. So why don't we take that seriously? We all know that. We all know that. So it's like becoming the naturopathic doctor. I'm putting 4 years into this. I believe it. I really think that food, for example, is medicine. And once you understand food and the impact it has on every cell in your body, whether you think that way or not, if you're educated on that, then there's no looking back. And that's where I was. And I also felt lucky to have had a brother of mine, the only brother, Sam, he was super into health and fitness. He went to Virginia Tech, and he got, I don't know the name of the degree, but it was like an exercise science and nutrition degree. Oh, cool. And this was all things that, he's a role model. So I see that, and I was influenced by that early. And even before then, when we were young, I never even thought twice of it back then, but my mom would feed us super well, make sure that we'd have the fruits and vegetables, and even go as far as to get organic back then when I was young. That's awesome. So things that I didn't realize were influencing me. I was already I was already on this direction long ago anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. And so back to my path to it. I realized I never finished that.
That
happens sometimes. A little side effect of cannabis can be, but we're back to it. So I was, doing different jobs in finance, and I said, I even interviewed for Wells Fargo, and I interviewed with 8 different people, and they all love me, and they're like, it was really looking good, and for this really awesome position. And then at the end, they're like, Adrian, you seem like you have the finance skills, but you seem more like a marketing sales type of guy. And I'm like, I think you're right about that. Yeah. And after that, I started applying for sales jobs. And then I did full-time professional sales for, a total of 9 years in my life. And so, kind of that whole combination of things is kind of made me who I am today, a really unique combination of different skills and jobs. I added it up. I've worked in 16 different jobs since I've been 16.
Man, that's wild.
Yeah, in different industries. And
I think I've got like 4.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Maybe.
Yeah. So some of them were like a week or 2 or a month, so like all the little, seasonal things, everything. I sold Cutco knives, like all this stuff.
Right.
So anyway, I was working in commercial real estate in downtown Chicago and like retail office leasing, not retail. And I got this opportunity to move to California for this solar sales job. It wasn't anything, I didn't really know much about it, but it was just like an excuse to get out there. I've always wanted to. I'd visited a few times. We had family down in Southern California, and I said, you know what? I've always wanted to live there. I sold my condo kind of on a whim.
Oh, wow.
That I had in downtown Chicago, and just said, all right, I'm dipping. I moved to California in August of 2014, and then
that's the way to do it, man.
Yeah, and never looked back. And then lived there, like I said, for a year and a half. But while I was there, I ended up getting involved in the cannabis industry, medical cannabis back then. And me and a business partner started up Shades of Green, which was a edibles subscription box.
Right.
So every month our patients would get like 4 or 5 of our favorite edibles in the state. And, just going to different cannabis conferences, I saw this one doctor, Michelle Sexton, who's a naturopathic doctor, speak at one of the cannabis conferences, and I was blown away. I'm like, what is this naturopathic medicine thing? And I looked into it, and I was still out in California at that time, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting, And then a lot of things happened, didn't work out with us in the business between us, and so ended up moving back to Illinois, and I said, well, now what else am I going to do with my life? I said, well, I always wanted to be a doctor, and it's never too late. So here I am, 33, about to graduate here in August. And so it's kind of the whole point of it is that cannabis is really what led me to naturopathic medicine. And my whole idea from the beginning has been to kind of combine those two because, cannabis is such a powerful medicine, and we've been literally just lied to about it for the last 80 years in our government. And it's been a medicine used for for thousands of years around the world.
Yeah. So and I think we're just at the tip of the iceberg with what we know about cannabis.
Yep.
It was breakthrough enough to see how expansive the endocannabinoid system is inside the body.
Right.
We know very little, but we know it's there and we know it's important.
Once you understand that, it's kind of like once you understand the physiological implications of the endocannabinoid system and how you can modulate that. That's not only through cannabis. Many things modulate that endocannabinoid system, but literally that system interacts with every physiological system in your body. So that's a huge deal.
Right.
And being able to put in an exogenous form of cannabis, whether it be CBD oil, at the minimum, which...
And a lot of people need to remember that CBD is the sister. It's half of the equation here.
Yep.
It's not only THC.
Right. Exactly. CBD, THC. THC has a psychoactive component. There are also medical benefits to it as well. Appetite stimulation for people going through cancer treatments.
Yeah,
it works well with that, better than anything really. For nausea, for chronic pain.
Oh yeah.
For all kinds of things, even for the direct treatment of the cancer cells. There's a lot of preclinical studies that show that.
Oh yeah. There's new literature every day.
Yeah.
And we're still very fresh. It's embryonic with the science.
I like that.
It's gonna blow up.
Yeah.
But I love that, man. Yeah. It for me, like I had mentioned, my example was probably food and exercise that led me here. Those are the things that I've felt the benefit of those throughout my life. And now I'm here. And for you, it was cannabis and probably the whole California lifestyle, to be honest.
Oh, for sure. California lifestyle. And then I'd always, been more natural leaning my whole life. Like I grew up taking antibiotics as a kid, I remember, and, you know, doing just the typical, you know, eating fast food, all the different stuff. But then I started watching documentaries about nutrition that just blew my mind open, and watching, you know, I remember the Food Revolution series in California, learning about nutrition and just being like, whoa. And I started, you know, learning about nutrient density. And like, you got to go for those nutrient dense foods. That's where you get the nutrition in your body.
For sure.
And so it's not necessarily about worrying about eating less of the bad for me. It's more about getting in more of the good.
Yeah.
And it really, you know, like in California, I would make these awesome smoothies with like 20 ingredients in them, all these greens, fruit, you know, seeds, everything. Like sometimes I'd make them twice a day.
Definitely. I had mine today.
There you go. Yeah, me too. I had an awesome one. And that's what we're rocking until 4:40 p.m., right? That's all.
Absolutely. Yeah. And our relationship with food.
Right.
That's a big one.
Yes.
That is super underplayed. And I mean, we learn about it. We definitely learn about it as naturopathic physicians. But we kind of need to recalculate and reevaluate our relationship with food. Yes. That's a big one. I mean, I don't have the stats, so I'm not going to start saying numbers, but the obesity in America, that comes from the two things. I mean, it's obesity and then all of the conditions that follow that. Right. And then before that, what is it? It's sedentary lifestyle and it's poor nutrition. And I mean, these are all avoidable things. Like I said, if this is health, the stuff before that, not once you're circling back around, passing health and moving toward unhealthy.
Yeah. And I know you're of the belief too that you could eat all the healthy organic foods you want all day. You can drink all the water, move, you know, exercise 6 days a week, whatever. But if you don't attack and go after the mental, emotional, childhood traumas and all of the stuff that's really, you know, it ends up being at the root cause of a lot of our illnesses. If we don't get after that, you know, you're missing a big part of the picture. And I know it is the most difficult work, but
absolutely, you know. Absolutely. That makes my brain go in like 40 different directions. Yeah. But yeah, that's why it's smart to call it your relationship with food. Right. You might be providing the building blocks to your body with the food that you eat, but the physiology that's controlled up here. It's all going to start up here. How all of those nutrients that you're providing your body interact. I mean, you can theoretically block your absorption and assimilation of these nutrients if you're in a very high stress, high anxious, or even a very low vibrational depressive episode. Yep. And that's, you know, that if you're not like enjoying your meal and you have so-and-so on your mind, or you're standing up when you're walking and you're pacing, even maybe you're like just finished your workout on the way to a work stressful conference call or something. Like, these are all things that I mean, you're telling your brain right now, I'm not ready to eat. Yeah. And then you're probably filling it with, honestly, in all of those situations, not like high density nutrient food. Right.
On the go, foods. In the car, even eating, like, tell me that's going to digest well. Right. Yeah. I mean, you got to be in that parasympathetic mode, right? You know, rest and digest. And if you're in that, you know, stressed out, anxious, you're not digesting much, you know, in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, yeah, like I said, my brain went in a bunch of different directions.
It's a heavy topic.
We could that was a big one.
Episodes.
I mean, we're very big on food, and we're I know it about ourselves, but we're huge on mental health. Yeah. And I mean, I think.
What are some things you do for that and just kind of keep sane through all of this and just in general?
So for me, I mean, anyone who knows me will know that if I have a downfall, it's probably sleep. That's where, and this is to say, no one's perfect. Right. I'm definitely not the gold standard. Neither of us are. Most doctors are not. We all have that one vice. Right. Sleep it is for me. I love the nighttime. I get things done in the nighttime. It's quiet. I focus. I'm with myself. I'm with my thoughts, and I can chill with that late or early into the morning, but late into the night. So for me, the big thing has been sleep. I've been sleeping better than I have since being in college for sure. I mean, that's 8 years at least.
Awesome.
And sleeping the best I ever have since then. Full 8 hours every night, and that's a huge difference. I mean, the control that your circadian rhythm has on everything we just talked about.
Right.
It's your brain's rest. It truly is. And if your mental health is what's driving all of these reactions in your body throughout the day, if you don't rest the pilot of that, I mean, what are you setting yourself up for the next day?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I've noticed so much just from sleep. It's such a priority.
Like how many hours are you getting?
Well, I know myself, I could sleep for 14 hours straight.
Oh,
I know that.
Nice. Like regularly?
No.
Okay.
Just like for probably a short period of time.
Catch
just
up
for
mode.
as long as I've lived the night owl lifestyle, I still have some makeup to do.
Yeah.
But I've been getting probably 9.
Awesome.
Every night.
That's what I shoot for, 9.
Oh man.
Like, why not? What during this time, you know?
Totally.
Got to make it a priority. I always try to prioritize sleep for sure.
So that's not really coping, how I'm coping with being quarantined.
But it affects a lot.
But it's where I've put my priority during all of this.
Nice.
And it's been huge. I'd say coping, I don't know. You know me. I'm a pretty good quarantiner. It's not difficult for me really to be told to be in my house and just do what you want to do throughout the day, but like get these assignments done or so and so. I'm like, deal.
Yeah.
You put it on my time, deal.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. You're chilling.
But yeah, I mean, now that it's getting the weather's getting nice, it's super easy to get outside.
Yeah.
And finally like reconnect outdoors again. I couldn't imagine being quarantined in a Chicago winter, man. That's just that would be brutal.
Yeah, man. Chicago winters are not for everybody.
No, man. And I don't even want to say it. I sound like such an outsider, but it's the wind. I'm telling people, it's the wind. It's the big difference. Because you can go, I'll go home to Virginia, and it's not like it's so much colder. I mean, we'll get down to the 20s, 30s, but it's the wind.
And especially when you're downtown and the buildings and the way it's just like
you just get sucked into a vortex. It feels like someone is slingshotting crystals at your cheeks. It's just like so.
You've had some good moments.
It's so hard, man.
That's funny. So tell me, what was it like growing up as a colonial kid in Jamestown on PBS?
Oh, damn it. Oh, man. Yeah, so anyone who watches this, who remembers me in middle school or high school will know I did that. Yeah, I have a decent camera presence. It's not great. I obviously laugh. I mean,
did you do that back then too?
No. Well, there was one time where I did. I'll never forget it. I was such a funny guy I was working with, and I just couldn't keep a straight face around him.
That's awesome.
But yeah, like I did that, man. I was super into theater and drama back then. But I mean, that faded. It was a phase. It was a phase. But yeah, I was on PBS.
That's so cool.
I was on PBS, and I'm not going to give the name of the show or anything. I don't think it's Googleable. I've tried.
Oh, boy. Well, we'll see after this.
But yeah, man, that was something that I tried out and didn't fit. Wasn't into it.
That's cool. Yeah. It's funny because I also did a little child modeling myself.
That's right. Thanks, man.
Yeah, I was in on a national Best Buy ad with walkie-talkies, in a national Walgreens ad with this Hawaiian shirt.
Oh, unreal.
And,
what age?
Like probably 12.
Probably like
13.
2 years ago.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. I'm the dad.
Oh,
Pablo got going on that one.
Yeah, he's trying to laugh with us.
Pablo, hey, come here.
Yeah, that'd be great if we can get him up here for a
Come on,
little
buddy.
bit.
You'll be in the podcast.
He's got wisdom.
He's a wise word.
I'm appreciative. I'll go back to my word choice. I'm appreciative of my time I've had with Pablo.
Yeah.
Before you and I split and go our separate ways in this life. It's been cool knowing Pablo.
He's a trooper. He's been through a lot with me.
He really has.
Almost 12 and a half years.
He really has. For the viewers who can't see, I mean, if you're listening, Pablo has one eye. He had to have it surgically removed. What was the condition?
He had a melanoma, benign melanoma.
Yeah. And I say it all the time to Adrian, but you take an eye out of him, and I've never seen him not smiling.
Yes.
Ever.
Yep.
Ever.
He's not having it.
No, that's not. He's a little camera shy.
But yeah,
right now.
it's almost like he got happier after his surgery. He's like, I don't need that eye anyway. Like, just literally smiling every day, all day.
You want to talk about gratitude? You can just learn so much from a dog.
Yep. Unconditional love.
Seriously.
And gratitude. I mean, that's really what it's all about. Tell me about what you're doing right now, your experiment, your elimination.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So, I'm in the middle of an elimination diet right now, which is basically taking out a bunch of common inflammatory or allergic foods. And, yeah, it feels good. It does feel really good. I eat well, you know that, but, I definitely have some things that I feel like I can truly fix with diet. I've had, and I say this lightly, but I've had acne that I've noticed. It's never been bad.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate it's not like cystic all over the place.
Right.
I truly feel for those people, but I have had acne for a while now. Let's see. And in the spring, I get allergies. So this was the perfect time for me to try it out. So yeah, I eliminated a bunch of common foods and ingredients that I really don't really have nutritive value. So it shouldn't do anything but give my body a rest, correct? In theory.
Right.
And it's been cool. I mean, what I've noticed for myself is and I'm saying it because I'm actually feeling it. I feel like a lot of people will try a certain diet and say it gives me so much more energy, but it really does give me way more energy to not have toxins essentially in your body throughout the day that you have to process.
Right.
And let's see, as far as allergies, and I don't even think I've told you this yet though, but usually my allergies will last me like a month and a half or 2 months.
Wow.
And except for the other day when we got like our first real big sunny 80-degree weather day, I'd say they've lasted like 2 weeks. I usually use eye drops or do steam inhalation to kind of like clear out my nose. It's so itchy, and I just wake up like clogged, and my eyes are like red, and they feel like swollen. But that lasted like 2 weeks, and I only started the elimination diet maybe like 8 or 9 days ago. So is it correlation? Probably. I'm not going to say it's the cause, but it's making a huge difference.
Yeah.
So just one minor example. I want to be a food doctor first. Mostly I want to help people with diet, with supplement, with transitioning from maybe a pharmaceutical that they might no longer be serving them into a more natural alternative. So yeah, I think I have to practice what I preach.
Right.
So trying that on myself and having benefit in my own way is huge for just like motivating me to want to give this experience to others.
Yeah, exactly. I feel, the same about some things I do with nutrition, but then for me, a big one is fasting.
Yeah.
Water fasting.
Yeah.
Huge on it. Can't recommend it enough to people that, are ready for it. I started out with the, very first time for 3 days, and I felt so amazing on that third day. I was like, I'm just going to go for 6.
Yeah.
And I did. And it was just like, wow.
I mean, you want to talk about the ultimate elimination diet.
Right.
It's not 4 weeks of doing what I'm doing. It's
Yeah.
eliminating it all.
Eliminate it all. And, something like 40% of our energy goes towards digestion. So when you give all that a break, you literally switch into ketosis and burn off of fat, after a couple of days, 3-4 days. And you would talk about energy, I was waking up at 5-6 a.m. with no alarm. I feel exactly like how you said about sleep and energy and, like the quiet and there's not people. That's how I feel about the early morning. Like super early. That's why I'd wake up at like 6 a.m. before exams and study.
Yeah.
And there's nobody up. There's nobody texting you. There's nobody going on, nothing going on. And it's just pure focus.
Yeah. That's the other end.
Yeah. Right. There's, yin yang, like there's the opposite extremes, but it's all in the, in the same kind of, path. But yeah, I enjoy water fasting a lot. I've gone.
And you've done a 10-day one.
10-day, even up to 14-day.
Oh yeah. You did do a 14-day.
In
That's
September,
right.
Yep.
That's wild.
And it was amazing. I mean, I could have kept going. I just stopped because I said, I'm going to stop now. But like, I just can't explain to you how good it feels until you experience it. I mean, talk about a reset, for your physiology and like your immune system completely regenerates in something like 7 days.
Right.
And like the way you feel mentally, emotionally, even spiritually. I mean, in some points, in day like 5, 6, I started feeling like I was high. I started feeling like I was tripping in moments. Like it was incredible what's going on with your brain. I mean, all kinds of BDNF, brain derived neurotrophic factor, is being, pumped up when you're fasting. And I would do the sauna too. So sauna, and then I would make sure to replete those, electrolytes with Himalayan pink salt. But man,
putting your body through it.
Yeah.
And then coming out on the other side.
Yep. I feel like it's good for me because I do in those extremes. I do really well and eat a lot of good stuff, but then my thing is sugar, and it just goes, down. It goes down some crazy paths late at night, and
as it will, man. Yeah.
And so for me, it's like these water fasts are a nice like reset of just like clear all that shit out and start fresh again.
Right. And I definitely want to make that distinction real quick though, is for me, naturopathic medicine, it's not that I think the other side is evil and like the Grim Reaper. I 100% believe in the other side. We're taught the other side. There's chemistry to the other side. It's tough not to agree with. But I don't think that it should be our first line of defense against a lot of things. But I say that, and I say, I think earlier I said like maybe take them off pharmaceuticals. What I'm saying is I don't think that you need them. Additionally, on the natural side of stuff, if you want to talk about food, you do have things like sugar that can be equally as harmful and equally as addicting as pharmaceutical drugs.
Yep. For sure.
And so I'm not, our side isn't perfect. You have to also navigate the waters if you're going naturally also. But yeah, I definitely wanted to make that distinction. It's not a competition.
Right.
It's not good versus evil.
Right.
It's just how we approach our health first.
Yeah, it's a paradigm really, view of, there's nothing wrong with allopathic medicine for, acute traumas and, emergency situations. If I get in a car accident, please take me to the hospital.
Don't come see us.
No, right.
Do not.
And so, I want their care for that, and like some diagnostics and things that they've developed is amazing, like awesome for that. But for chronic diseases and lifestyle things, which, something like 80% of disease or something like that is lifestyle and like related and preventable, then it's kind of like there, a lot of, unfortunately, allopathic, our allopathic colleagues and MDs and DOs, they're not taught too much about nutrition in school. So how can they believe that food is medicine when,
right,
that's just not their paradigm. They're maybe learning that stuff on their own after school, through their own education and things like that. Like one of my biggest I'm a big fan of her, Dr. Kelly Brogan, who's an MD and completely flipped.
Great example.
She had Hashimoto's thyroiditis and got healed. An MD naturopathic doctor helped her heal that, and she never thought that was possible. And after that, she just became totally holistic. Takes people off of their psychiatric drugs, and is written some really good books. I highly recommend A Mind of Your Own, and then her new one, Own Yourself, which I haven't read yet, but heard is awesome.
Yeah. No, she's a terrific example. One who's been through the gauntlet, done the medical school, practiced as such, and then found that there's a whole other side to this before you have to come see the doctor.
Right.
The stuff that is preventing you from seeing the doctor. Who was it? I'm not sure who it was. You're the name guy. I can't believe how good you are with names, man.
Yeah, that's part of that.
But whoever it was who said it's ideally for a naturopathic doctor, you don't have any patients at some point. At some point through your practice, you have no patients any longer because you have shown them that within themselves, they don't need the doctor. They have control over their health.
Yeah.
And you have to give that autonomy to the patient. You don't want to put their trust in a surgery or a pill.
And some people might say, well, what kind of business model is that?
Right.
And in my, past history of like business, and people look at it and be like, well, how are you going to make money with that? It's like, well, I kind of had some realizations, like us being male in the naturopathic profession is not as common right now. There's definitely less males, I think, overall, especially at our school, at least.
Yeah.
And so we're definitely unique in that we can't be having any ego coming into this and, having this attitude, because it's just not going to fly.
No way.
We're a small profession, and it's, we really are representing the whole profession with what we do and put out there. But our intention, Healing Intentions, as my podcast name, is very pure and good, and we're only trying to help as many people as we can with the stuff we're into,
Definitely. And like you had said, I don't know the statistics, so I'm not going to say on it, but the percentage of people who have preventative diseases,
it's high up there.
The percentage of cardiovascular disease, the percentage of diabetes, the percentage of obesity, these are all things. Knock, knock, open the door, enter naturopathic medicine. These are things that we can work with you from the jump.
Yep.
So as for being a business model, well, first to that, I'd say there's plenty of healing that needs to happen in America and other developed parts of the world, all over.
Yeah.
There's no shortage of healing that needs to happen. And secondly, there's a whole other market for optimizing health. Once you become healthy, the road, it could end there, but there are so many ways that you can just take yourself from here to here.
Right. I'm big on that. Yeah, you just brought up a great point. I love, I shadowed some doctors in California over our last break here in January, and I saw just some really amazing things about like patients that were doing really well, but they wanted to be doing excellent, like living like their vital, healthiest self. And, like you said, before you ever need to see a doctor, not even that, you're good, but you want to be like great.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, I relate to that a lot, because that's kind of where I'm at. Like I've been very fortunate. I've never had any real, health issues in my life. So I've just, it's been more about preventing anything from coming up, and then trying to really optimize, and I take all these supplements, and like, probably don't really need to. I just like to experiment and biohack and, different nootropics and things.
That's great.
Yeah.
Better than the alternative, in my opinion.
Right. I agree.
And yeah, you're big into the psychiatry of naturopathic medicine. And that is something that, again, we know very little about. You can optimize that. You can be feeling the best of your life, but do you know what's possibly even further than that? Do you want to explore that? If you want to talk about spirituality, you can go far with that. Yep.
I remember there's a Andre Belanger talk of this guy that came and spoke to our business class about
the name. How?
He just had a unique one, I'm very auditory. I remember.
That's that marketing or sales background.
Yeah. And he said that the fastest growing segment in medicine is spirituality.
Yeah, that's huge.
And I believe that, and I feel like we both, in some way or another, are going to be big on that.
Oh yeah.
In the future. That's just part of who we are,
We were just talking about it before we even started filming, but I guess sort of, but vitalism, kind of instead of, well, here, you explain it. You got it way better.
Yeah. I mean, vitalism is just like a, philosophy of naturopathic medicine and just of healing, not only in our medicine, but, looking at the whole person and treating people and not diseases. And there's no, protocols or things that, oh, this supplement's good for this condition. It's like truly getting to the root cause of what's going on with people. And oftentimes, most times, that ends up being mental, emotional. And then, Dr. Henry Lindlar kind of broke it down into like, do you have toxins in your blood? Do you have a deficiency of nutrients, or do you have like a weakened vital force? And that's, a whole lot of things that we can do for that, with hydrotherapy and homeopathy, which is controversial, but really shouldn't be.
I know. Like, there are cases where it works.
Yeah. Plenty of them. And it's, used by 500 million people around the world. Like, could they all be crazy?
Yeah. It's like a primary mode of care.
Yeah.
In many countries.
Yeah. And so it's just, looking on that energetic level of things that, acupuncture now is pretty widely accepted.
Yes.
In a lot of places. And that's energy medicine. I mean, how do you explain a needle going into a point and affecting that energy flow in somebody's body? Like,
right.
What? Like, that doesn't make sense in a lot of people's paradigms, but guess what? It works.
Yeah.
So
energetic medicine is another one of those that, you can forever be optimizing. And you got to remember, we live in, not to be pessimistic. I love Earth, big Earth guy, but it's because of humanity, it's moving in the direction where it's tough to find corners with no toxicity or of any kind.
Yep.
So we're all constantly being exposed to all sorts of environmental toxins.
Yep.
That
for food or water or air.
Yeah, you got to do something about that. You always should be thinking that way.
Right. Eliminating, minimizing them as much as possible.
Yeah.
Just being aware. How can you change something if you're not aware of it?
Yeah.
That's the first step, right?
Yeah.
And so going back to all of that,
And that's the other big one for naturopathic medicine. If I can make my case while I'm on here, is we get that time with the patient.
Yep.
If we can provide them awareness. It's one of our foundations. We're supposed to be educating.
Right.
Our patient encounters are, I'd say, minimum 30 minutes.
Yep.
And at most, they can be 2 hours.
Easily.
They've been more than 2 hours in clinic for myself.
Me too. Yep.
But yeah, and in that time, you can explain and educate and inform. And that is almost healing in itself, because once they understand what they're doing, it's not being given something and being like, well, I trust it. It's understanding like, oh, this is gonna work. This is going to work.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do this.
Right. And
that's powerful.
I agree. And there's a quote that I've read to you many times. It's one of my favorites. A healer does not heal you. A healer holds space for you while you awaken your inner healer so that you can heal yourself.
Exactly.
Exactly. And that's really, it's like, it doesn't, and I said this when we were at Salvation Army together. That's a great segue of topics we could talk about. A really great experience. Shout out Dr. Keating.
Yeah, definitely. Big shout out.
And, working with a population there that had a lot of substance abuse and just different chronic diseases that, I said, man, I realized really early on that, it doesn't matter the fish oil or the magnesium or whatever that we give them. That's not going to dramatically change their lives. It's the relationship that we have with them and talk and, incorporate lifestyle habits and things that they can take with them the rest of their lives.
Definitely.
And implement anywhere, anytime.
Oh yeah.
I heard this great quote on one of the Naturopathic Medicine Institute Vital Conversations that they're like, we could do our medicine 1,000 years ago and 1,000 years in the future the same way, and it still will work.
Yeah, and I love that.
Yeah.
I really do love that. And it's not to diminish
not at all. Yep.
The effects that other allopathic medical therapies are, like how well they work. But it's ingrained in us, and we know it, and we know the things that we have to do if we can be explained why, educated why we have to do it, why it's important, I think it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, like hydration.
Yeah,
Everybody
drink
knows
more
they
water.
should drink more water.
Okay.
Okay, great. Awesome. How do I do
Right.
that?
Right.
You know, why is it important?
Yeah.
How big of a difference does it really actually make?
Mm-hmm.
Huge.
Yeah.
Just that alone. I mean, one of the most like drink enough water, sleep enough. I mean, if you do just those two things,
Right.
whoa, your world could change.
Right. Yeah. The return on investment in naturopathic medicine, it might not be the next day.
Mm-hmm.
You might have to put in some work of your own,
Right.
which drives a lot of people away from it. We definitely want that quick fix
Right.
in America, and I'm sure other countries. And that's why we find it. We find the doctor is going to provide that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as far as healing goes, getting yourself back to your innate health, that is, I mean, that's within.
Right.
That's within.
The healer within. Yep. I mean, it just made me think about the opioid crisis that's still ongoing, and who knows how much worse it's gotten during this time. I mean, we don't even know yet the numbers, but how all that, you want to watch something that'll blow your mind, watch The Pharmacist on Netflix, talking about one of the pharmacists that like came out and whistle blew about all this stuff going on with the pharmaceutical companies, Purdue Pharma and others that were, you know, making these Oxycontins and just giving them out like candy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just unbelievable amounts of prescribing and unfortunately, you know, abuse from patients. And, you know, and it's like, it gets people to reframe, like, what is the idea of a drug? Like, that was doctor prescribed. Well, I got these from my doctor for my back pain, but is that really the right thing? You know, and then there's these other substances that are illicit drugs, you know, for recreational use that are Schedule 1, like cannabis,
Right.
like, you know, mushrooms, like LSD, like MDMA. And like really those, when they're used properly with the right intention, can be the ultimate of medicines, but
Right.
that doesn't quite fit the pharmaceutical paradigm.
Nope.
But it's changing, you know, it's changing fast, and it's going to be very interesting what happens. MAPS, the Multidisciplinary Association of Psychedelic Studies, is really spearheading that research with MDMA and PTSD.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're in phase 3 clinical trials right now.
Oh yeah, they're making waves.
Huge waves. And I mean, the numbers that they've had so far is like, you know, 60% cures from PTSD that were treatment resistant before. And that's from 3 sessions of MDMA. And it's like, whoa. And so this could be a pharmaceutical drug now prescribed, you know, for PTSD and other things. They're doing many other studies as soon as 2021. And
not soon enough.
You know, and it's just going to really flip the paradigm of like, what is a drug? How do we really work this? I think I talked about this in the first podcast about, you know, harm reduction. That's really the way of the future, because telling somebody not to do something, that just doesn't work. You know, we're adults, we're going to do whatever we want to do with our bodies. And it's just about educating and how do you use this in the right way, safely, getting, you know, a quality source of it.
Right.
And there's many, many benefits to that for, you know, consciousness expanding, heart, you know, opening, awakening to things, new ways of thinking, on and on and on the list goes.
Right. Exactly where the healing begins.
Yep. It's a powerful tool.
It is.
It's one of many. Not everybody, not psychedelics are definitely not for everybody. Neither is cannabis. But if it is something of interest to you, it can definitely be a powerful tool, you know, along with meditation and breath work. And, you know,
I was going to say it's a very physical representation of what we were talking about with meditation, feeling those emotions, processing them. Have you done that yet?
Right.
Moving past it.
Right.
In the right setting.
Yep.
And all of these psychedelics have the ability to do that in our brains. And we've got the research to show that something profound is going on in our brains when we use them. So again, tip of the iceberg. Tip of the iceberg, but it's awesome that it's heading in that direction. It's just about having those options.
Right.
It really is.
And like we said about being a doctor where you don't have any patients anymore, unfortunately for psychiatry,
Yeah.
That's why they're kind of like clinging onto this so quickly now, because they realize like, oh wow, this is exactly what we needed for some of them, but for others, it's like, this doesn't fit our paradigm. How's this patient going to be taking, XYZ pharmaceutical forever? The pharmaceutical companies don't love that business model.
I know.
Goldman Sachs came out and said, curing patients is not a, feasible business model.
It's not a business.
But, it's...
Oh, Pablo's licking my toes.
Oh, there you go.
Thanks, bud.
But yeah,
shocked me.
That's a funny,
Yeah, that's a rabbit hole. Yeah. That's a rabbit hole. Getting into the money and the politics.
Like they say, follow the money.
If you follow the money, you'll learn some stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not going to be exciting stuff, but yeah, it's a big topic, but does it matter to you who is making the money off of the cannabis, or does it just matter to you that cannabis is out there and people are using it and having benefit?
Yeah, I the latter for sure, but like I definitely see the side of the, who's making the money. Like, unfortunately in cannabis, it's a lot of white men.
It's a lot of old white guys who are just capitalizing on it.
Yeah. And so that is not ideal in a lot of circles. And I totally, I'm a white male, so there's only so much I can really say about it, but I feel like
just got to change it.
Yeah, I'm not for that at all.
No.
And I love the idea of Illinois made a social equity program for new cannabis business to be able to provide for communities that have been kind of fucked over basically by the
underserved a bit.
Yeah, underserved. And so that's cool. They're at least trying. I know Oakland has done that. Different places are doing it, but it needs to happen a lot more.
Yeah.
I'm definitely with that,
Definitely. It, it's already weird enough to have a copyright on a plant.
Right.
that you did not create whatsoever.
Yep.
But whatever. I mean, if that's the way it has to be, I'd rather it that way.
Yep. Well, you want to talk about your skateboarding career? How that's been?
My God. Just like picked a random thing from my past, like big segue. Fucking money and skateboarding.
You got to mix it up.
Yeah, I skateboard. I love it. It's meditation, but it's also painful at times. I mean, I started when I was in maybe 5th grade, probably. And I'd say I got pretty good, like for my age. I was pretty good. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and I definitely love that. Still a hobby today. I got a board in the back of my car. Goes with me everywhere, man.
Nice.
Just went. Look, it was a rainy day, so I couldn't actually do it. But Ken's and I just went driving to a couple of skate parks in the area. The weather's changing, so we're gonna try. Videos to come, you'll see.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I'm excited for that. When I'll never forget when we were in the city by Grant Park one time, and you're like, "Oh, let me borrow this kid's skateboard."
Coolest skate park I've seen to date.
Yeah. Oh,
by
sweet.
the way,
that's sweet. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and it was, popping full, and he just went up to this kid and he's like,
at
"Hey, bro."
night with the skyline in the background. Yeah. That was something.
Yeah, and he's like, "Yeah, man, can I borrow your board?" And he's like, "Sure." And then I recorded him just hitting it. I'm like, "Man, Ben is like really good. I had no idea."
Thanks.
Like, low key. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's definitely one of those passions. But yeah, I mean, what a life metaphor. You got this one trick that you just wanna land. You got to stick it, and you probably eat shit. I don't know, 100 times before doing it. It's truly the don't give up, like sport, in my opinion, because it is tough. And I mean, you see the pros throwing themselves down, 20-step staircases, and flicking the board into all sorts of directions and landing it. But before that, I guarantee that they busted their wrist, they ripped their pants on the ground,
Yep.
they probably smacked their head. Like, it's not encouraging that at all, but yeah, it was just, I still feel it in my knees. Like, to today, I know those times where I was just chucking my body down flights of stairs. I was like,
Ooh.
that at that age, that developmental age, I was like, that was probably not good in hindsight.
Wow. You were doing some serious stuff. Yeah. I never really got into it like that.
Yeah, we would like film.
Wow.
We would film it and like put music behind it, make it a little skate video.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, I just got into Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Coming out, man.
Is it?
Yeah, they're doing Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 again for, like, I think PS4 and Xbox and all those things. Yeah, I don't know. It's just what I'm reading.
Yeah, I haven't played video
Which is a
games.
huge deal in
Big
the
deal.
skate community, and people who don't even skate. People who just enjoyed the games.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I remember playing that game a ton.
Yeah, man. Some of the coolest people too in the world, skateboarders.
Yeah.
They'll find I don't know, it's like an art. It really is an art. Like driving past somewhere in a city, and it might not even be a staircase. It could be a ledge. It could be a wall, and being like, I can do something on that. Like finding these little obstacles in world. It's like a parkour kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I remember way back when I was living in Chicago with my first girlfriend, and she had a cousin. They came and visited, and she was dating a guy that was like a professional skateboarder and was in town in Chicago for like to film some videos and whatever. And I just thought that was so badass. I'm like, you just travel around and just film videos,
man. They get their shoes paid for. They get their boards paid for.
Yeah.
They travel with their best buddies.
Yep.
They wake up every morning, film each other, skating, doing what they love. It's a really cool life. We all wanted to be pro when we were young.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably smoke a little bit.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, like really just enjoy the day.
Yep.
100%.
Living in the present moment.
Yeah. Yeah. They were the most present.
Pablo's very present.
That's all he knows.
He's only in the present, man.
Unless he gets a little hungry, he's not thinking. He's not thinking forward.
Yeah. I gave him a little
right
grass-fed, organic, raw ground beef earlier as a little snack.
Oh, he's eating good.
I usually mix it in with his Honest Kitchen dehydrated food. He gets the best, man. I give him a little turmeric supplement.
Oh, heck yeah.
Little vitamin D drops.
I think that's great. A little fish oil.
Yep.
It's all good for them. A little naturopathic medicine for doggos.
Oh, yeah, man. It's the power of nature, man. The healing power of nature. I mean, we're both into botanicals. You have the nickname Botanical Benjamin Boots.
Oh, Nate, man.
Oh, yeah.
Nate, man, you've ruined any alliteration with bees. He's ruined it. Our friend Nate.
Yeah.
I was wearing like a blue button down. I mean, just saying all this stuff is gonna
brown shoes, brown belt.
Brown belt, blue button down, like blue box tie.
Yeah.
Eating blueberries. Like he just went off.
Yeah.
And I'm cool if that sticks. I love it.
BotMed, shout out Dr. Sorensen, Dr. Smith.
Oh yeah, big time.
Dr. Martin in Florida.
Yeah. You've really, I hope that one day you can have one of them on here.
Yes.
That would be huge.
I'm planning
for
both
listeners.
Dr. Sorensen and Smith.
We're baby docs. We're doing it for 4 years, but we're very new.
Yep.
If you could have one of them on here, I think, they would be so informative for just how far-reaching botanical medicine is, working with plant medicine.
Yep.
Like they know it and they practice it, and wow, yeah, that would be great.
Whole plant medicine, man. Using the whole plant and all the intricate thousands of compounds that we can't even begin to understand. Right. The intermixed web of all of that. And then versus pharmaceutical medicine, which is kind of like a single extract, single component, single compound extract of this. Like those have an effect physiologically, like we know for sure.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like one of my favorite Dr. Kelly Brogan quotes is like, pharmaceutical medicine is like trying to pluck one string of the spider web and thinking that the whole rest of the web isn't affected.
Yeah, I love that one.
And it sure is.
Great visual.
Yeah, and it sure is affected. And why deal with some of those downstream? Like, there's a time and place for pharmaceuticals, absolutely. For short term, I believe.
Never what we're saying.
For sure, absolutely. But overall, I think that there's a natural way to do things. And botanicals have the ability of not only acting as like a pharmaceutical type of like really powerful at one agent, but also all these other benefits that are just side benefits. Oh, it's also good for the heart. Oh, it's also good for the liver.
Right.
It's like,
I was just going to say that there's pharmacology in plants, and a lot of mainstream pharmaceutical drugs have been developed with like a plant as the example.
Right.
Like the backbone of the chemistry of the pharmaceutical.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, there's true plant pharmacology, and like you said, it could be organ specific, or it could be multiple organ specific, as well as having nutritive value.
Right.
You could take plant medicine, plant pharmacology, and also be achieving antioxidants, maybe vitamin E or something, like you will be actually nourishing.
Minerals.
Yep. Tons of minerals. Flavonoids, like there's once you extract, I mean, if you're doing oil extraction, I mean, you can do tea, you can do all sorts of things, but you're getting so much more than just like, well, this is going to help your liver. Right.
Like a simple example is, turmeric, curcuma longa.
Let's talk. I'm going to talk about naming strains of cannabis, man.
Oh yeah,
naming these
botanicals. I love them. I don't know why I love the Latin. I feel like I'm in Harry Potter. But yeah, curcuma longa. Like they say, oh, it's the curcuminoids. Curcumin. Okay, that's what's been studied. That's only a part of it. Like, well, what was the randomly controlled, double placebo trial? Yeah, we need that. That's important for sure, but that's not the end all be all.
No.
Like, what about case studies? What about what, the results and what works? Like, just seeing it in practice, clinical experience is a huge part to that. So I think the whole plant has all these benefits. We can't even like verbalize at this point. Like, but
I had the chance of actually doing that in college for my research. I told you about this a while ago. The advisor who actually kind of led me in the direction for naturopathic medicine, she had a very cool idea that involved the idea of dragons, and it went into like almost like every field of study at my college. It was crazy to be a part of that, but she gave me the chance to actually grow snapdragon. Do you know what snapdragons are?
Of course, yeah.
Snapdragon's really cool looking flower. And Antirrhinum majus,
there you go.
I think is the name. But yeah, she gave me the chance to grow that, extract the oil from different parts of it, from the leaves, from the stems, from the roots, extract the oil from those plant parts, and then test that oil on different microbes, like in petri dishes, and see if there was like antimicrobial effect.
Wow.
Really cool. That was also about the time where I was learning about natural medicine, and I was like, let's do this. Like, perfect. I want to stand out. And I did that for about 2 years.
Sweet.
But it was super cool. I mean, to grow the plant, to fully just grow the plant, watch it grow. You can't perform any studies until this thing is blooming. And then to use its parts from my own little section in a greenhouse, extract oil from that. You talking about essential oils, like you were just looking at your wild orange essential oil, CBD oil, all of these oils, and use that. I mean, I tested it on like 3 different bacterial species. That's it. Like, I know nothing. It's so much bigger than what we know.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
and
cool.
it was eye-opening. It was huge for me moving forward, like in this profession.
Oh, that's really cool. Wow, man. And only 3 bacteria, imagine, out of the, hundreds and thousands of different ones that there are. And that's one plant.
And it's sad. I mean, we only use a handful of plants. Like, we probably only studied a handful of plants. There are so many plants that, like, I don't even know, indigenous tribes throughout the world might be using that we've barely studied, if at all used, not even studied. And I mean, then you think of like the Amazon rainforest.
Oh yeah.
That's where what's the percentage of our biodiversity is in the Amazon rainforest?
Yeah.
And we're just tearing that down. Like we don't know at all what's out there.
Yep.
And could be helpful to our health. I mean,
I'm glad you said that. I was just going to bring up the Amazon, and like there's so many medicines in there that we don't even have classified. We don't even know what they even are, but they've been using them for thousands of years in their cultures, in their indigenous tribes, and ayahuasca being one of them. They just said that they said literally, the shamans say the plants spoke to them and said, combine these two. One is the chacruna plant and happens to be an MAO inhibitor. So when you combine those two, it allows you to ingest ayahuasca and get the DMT effect.
Right.
What like the plants told them to do that?
Wild. And what am I going to do? Tell them no?
Right.
I guarantee that did happen.
Yeah.
I truly believe that.
Yeah.
And one way to look at it is modern medicine has been a blip in time.
Yep.
A blip in time. Like, I don't know, if you want to say it started in 1900, like 100 plus years maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And all of our research since then, I mean, it might be over the span of someone's lifetime, maybe like a 20, maybe a 40, maybe at most like a 60-year study, like combining all of this data.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're talking about thousands of years this plant medicine has been developed and understood.
Yep.
The millions of people who have come before us, the millions of animals who have come before us and who have tried these medicines, not whether it be medically or just like food, let me try this, let me eat this, let me ingest this, and found the ones that work with these benefits. That's thousands of years, tens of thousands.
Yep.
So like to prioritize maybe this new laboratory created substance that might affect our digestive system. Okay. All right. Like if we understand it well enough. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But why would we not put all of our funding into these things that already exist?
Right.
That are growing, whether it be for us or symbiotically with us. Like it makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Don't what I'm trying to think, is it an expression like don't create something that already exists, like don't remake the wheel or something like that. Like we could be doing that, and we should be doing that.
Yeah.
And in so many more like ways than we are.
I agree totally, man. And it's kind of interesting. My perspective is I've been very fortunate. I've been able to travel a lot, and I've been to Europe a bunch of times, and I have a bunch of family there. And so I get this perspective on just how much more natural medicine, botanical medicine, all of these things, homeopathy is just commonplace in Western Europe, especially.
Right.
It's just like night and day. The research that they're doing out of Germany with botanicals is just like mind blowing, and so the US definitely has some catching up to do in that regard. But we're 5% of the population of the world in the US, and we consume 50% of the pharmaceuticals.
I mean,
what is that?
Yeah, I know. I've stopped believing in coincidence.
Yeah.
Like a while ago.
Yeah.
And that's those numbers can be very upsetting. It's never too late to start making the change.
Right.
And naturopathic medicine is booming. It is growing. I mean, I drive down the highway to Chicago, and I'll see the billboards for the medical schools in Chicago, offering a more holistic approach.
Yeah.
Offering preventative medicine, which is I'm cool with that. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great, because you know what? People are seeking that.
Functional medicine.
They're not running a trial and error test here. People want that, so they're going to advertise with that.
Yeah.
The gluten-free section at the grocery store doesn't just exist because producers are like, well, let's see if people like it. People demanded that.
Yeah.
And now it's there.
Right.
And that's the same thing for the medicine the direction of medicine, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. It's the, voting with your dollar. And,
Exactly. Big one.
That's exactly right about gluten-free. Same thing with plant-based. I mean,
Yeah.
that movement has been exploding. And
When White Castle has a vegan burger,
right.
People are demanding this.
Yep.
They're not just trying to, I don't know.
I was watching this history
experiment.
Yep, exactly. Just mass experiment. I was watching this history of fast food in America, documentary thing on Netflix, and it said that Burger King was the first one to introduce a veggie burger in 2002.
Oh, they tried it.
So that's 18 years ago.
That's great.
That's not that long ago.
Yeah.
So, there's been plant-based, vegan, vegetarian people for a lot longer than that. So imagine, and it's, I definitely, support that movement for sure. I am a big believer in we need the majority of our diet to be plants. Absolutely. Organic, fresh whole plants for sure. And, a little bit of high quality, as highest quality as you can get and afford meat when it's, like a condiment, 10-20% of your meat, of your meal. Fine. I don't see a problem with that. And there's definitely some benefit to that as well.
Yeah. I totally agree. I mean, following the blue zones, another thing that's very evidenced is the blue zones and their health and what they prioritize.
Yep.
And there are a few, I think there's one that might be plant-based, but there are a few that incorporate just some high quality meats several times a week. Doesn't have to be every day. And yeah, that's definitely the way that we should be looking at that.
Okay, so global warming. How do you feel about that topic?
I was actually just about to say before that little chime sounded. That's a tough topic to tread on, because there's a lot of land being destroyed for things like soy and corn and plants, if you will.
Right.
For the same thing, destroying the
Amazon.
the globe as well.
Yeah.
Amazon, for example.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it has a huge environmental impact. And it, I mean, think of all the food that we feed the animals that we eat. Where could that be going instead?
The water
that those animals require.
And for the plants.
And for
it's a lot.
And again, the land.
I think 80% of water. Oh yeah, 80% of water is used for animal agriculture.
Right. And it should never be that way. It should never, ever be that way. If we have that, it should be distributed. It should not be given to an animal source that we're going to eat.
Yeah.
In that quantity, it's kind of backwards.
Yeah. One of our good friends, Brian Bernier at school, he's plant-based, and he has been really vocal about it lately. And, he's just adamant about like, hey, I lost my train of thought with that now.
Yeah, he's definitely he's in it for the right reasons for sure. And there's a huge spirituality component to it also, of not killing the animal, not eating the killed animal. I mean, for those cultures who do, and I mean, I do. Yeah. But you just eat less of it and have like a certain gratitude toward it if you choose.
I was just gonna say gratitude. I bet you're thinking about, thank you for giving your life for my 100%, sustenance to this 100%. Animal.
You want to talk about healing intention? Like put that intention out there.
For sure.
If that animal had to die this way for you,
right?
Then yeah, you really should be thinking that way.
I know what I was gonna say. Came back.
Give it to me.
Brian Bernier about he's been talking about, just check out these videos. Check out this quick 4-minute video on YouTube about the CAFOs. What does that stand for again? I can't even remember.
I don't know. I'm terrible with names.
Yeah, but the animal farm, like the industrialized, right? Just factory farms of just crowded animals in a warehouse and just terrible conditions. That once you watch that, how can you actually support that?
Yeah, right. And if you're going to continue to eat meat, then you want your meat being under those conditions. Yeah. Oh wow, it's terrible. I mean, we were probably an hour ago talking about mental health and stress and what it does to our physiology and our health. Like, you think you're eating quality meat, nutritious meat, not terribly inflamed meat under these factory farm conditions. It's not, there's no way.
Right.
There's no way. And once you see that, it does kind of start, I mean, it gets the gears turning. That's exactly.
I'll tell you this much. When I was in Switzerland visiting family, you eat the cheese there, man, I mean, you can tell the quality. You can tell that those cows were in the mountains living their best life.
Yeah.
Just happy. Grass fed. I mean, just living in the sunshine. And I saw a lot of those cows out in the mountains, just grazing, just like, what a life for a cow. You don't feel bad about that. You feel like this is a healthy exchange.
Symbiosis.
Yep. With Earth, with Mother Nature, like I'm providing you're providing me, the circle of life kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's huge.
Yeah.
I had a thought.
Global warming. That's what we were going to.
We're hitting on global warming.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, we've hit the Amazon, but how about the ocean?
Yeah.
How about the ocean? My brother just sent me a video. It was Jack Johnson. It was called "The Smog of the Sea," and he's
a singer, right?
Jack Johnson, the artist. He's love his music, man. You should have that as your intro for this podcast.
Nice.
I'm telling you, it'd be a delightful little segue.
All right, I'll check it out.
Yeah, check it out.
I know my cousin Errol. Shout out Errol. He loves Jack
I think
Johnson.
you have to get rights from him to use it. So
I think so.
Just here, I'll give you his number.
All right, cool. What's up, Jack?
But yeah, just the impact on the ocean. I'm not going to harp on it right now. We all know. But when you sit down and you think about it, if you just give it, if we started a timer and gave it 60 seconds and you thought about where all of our waste goes.
Oh yeah.
It's disgusting and it's upsetting. And a big point that they made in this, which I had never heard before, but I was like, oh shit, no duh, was that if you produce the plastic, you're responsible for where it goes. You're responsible for the effects it has on the environment.
Wow.
Right? And so for these mega, multi-billion dollar companies, they can't put some money, and by some I mean a good chunk of that, and still be filthy rich.
Right.
Toward helping the environment.
Right.
It's sick.
It's so
it's
true.
Really it's backwards, man.
Yeah.
We will buy, and the worst place you see it is produce. Strangely, why does our produce need to be packaged like that? It's not processed food. It's not like that.
Totally.
It's got a shelf life. It doesn't need a package. So I bought some dates and they were in a plastic container. Mm-hmm. And the moment I got home, I put the dates in a bowl. And that plastic lasted 15 minutes and I threw it away for eternity because it's it's not a quick biodegradation at all.
No. I'm with you, man. And, I got turned onto this from watching this documentary, Plastic Paradise, I think it was called.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen that one?
No, I heard of it.
It's about the huge, just giant size, like the size of Texas, thing of trash in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, that's where they went. That's where they went in the place. And they say in this documentary that doesn't even exist.
Wow.
That hardly exists because it's so dispersed.
Jeez.
You think it's this local landfill and we're taking up this certain amount of space in a huge ocean. No, they went days into the ocean and did a filter. I'm not sure what it was called. I don't even want to try to guess. Did a filter of just the top, the things that aren't going to sink because plastic will sink.
Right.
And they found so many pieces of plastic. I don't know what the weight was, but every time they did it, a certain amount, and they're so far into the ocean. It's not just where our boat goes a little bit off to the coast and drops our shit.
Right. Yep.
And what's worse is the places that they're dropping it. American tankers, whatever they are, carrying all this trash, dropping it in. I mean, if you read about the country's shores that they drop it close to, it's like, that is just awful. That is just awful. It's not even their trash, number one. And number two, most of them are not very industrialized to begin with. Like, they can't do much with the trash that just washes up on their seas and ruins their clean, actual drinking water.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, that they said a statistic in that documentary, Plastic Paradise, that 60 million plastic water bottles are thrown away in the U.S. every day.
Right.
60 million.
Like, what?
That's mind-blowing.
Why?
And just unnecessary.
It's an unnecessary expense.
You know, you carry around this thing. I have a gallon, a glass gallon that I usually carry around. Everybody at school knows me by. You know, it's all about hydration. And
it really is.
but,
Resell.
Yeah, and you, when you have it around with you, and you refill the same container, you're avoiding so much plastic.
Yeah.
Use. I mean, I see these.
Yeah. Huge
containers, things of bottled water people buy, 24 pack, whatever, and I'm just like, whoa, I remember doing that, and I highly recommend switching to this, some kind of a filter and refilling your own bottle if you can.
Absolutely. Every day that you go by and you're throwing away these plastic, whether it be in a dumpster or a recycling bin, whichever one, the impact extends far beyond today. And that's what I think a lot of people who are making decisions about the environment these days don't understand, is it's not, they're thinking presently, like, well, it's not affecting my life right now, and it won't in 10 years. Yeah. But what about your grandchildren? I mean, and oh gosh, that's another terrible thing. Greta Thunberg, to have a girl of her age walk into these congressional places, wherever she goes to speak all of the time, and have mostly older men and even some older women deny what she's saying to her face. Hear what she's saying, process it, look a girl of that generation in her eyes, talking about generations after her, and not be able to vote or whatever the fuck they do to make the right decision for the environment. Yeah. It's criminal. Yeah. It's criminal.
I agree. It's, it's looking at profit as the bottom line only. And there's a better way to look at things in business that I've since learned about. And it's the 3 Ps. You're looking at profit. Of course, you want to be in business to make a profit, but then also people and how you're affecting people and the planet.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All 3. You got to take in all those account.
Yeah.
To really, holistically look at it all. Like,
right.
It's important.
And I think that will just nourish your soul so much more. Yep. So much more than the money.
Right. Because I know a lot of people with money that aren't looking like they're the most happy, and like, what does money do ultimately? Like, yeah, it's important, but right. It's not the end goal.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's tough to have billionaires walking in a world where some people in areas that have a currency even can't afford to buy what? I mean, I could say anything right now. Food for their kid.
Oh man, it reminds me of the part of the population we worked at Salvation Army was homelessness. Yep. And why the fuck does that exist? and my cousin from Switzerland came and visited, and he's like, man, America's great, but like, I would never live here. Like, first of all, your education isn't free. Second of all, your healthcare isn't free.
Right.
And then why are there homeless people? If you have all this money, what the fuck?
Right.
And I don't have an answer.
You do. You know the answer.
Socialism.
You know the answer. That is. I mean, it is. If you don't even have to call it socialism. Just
I know.
Redistribute the money.
Right.
Redistribute the money elsewhere.
Yes.
We don't need. I know so much more about naturopathic medicine. It's not my place to talk about politics and money and how that all works logistically.
Sure. I agree.
But I know that if I know the amount. I've read the amount our military receives, for example, in times of no war.
Yeah.
Why are we not distributing that to other like impactful areas of this world? So education, food, homelessness, like,
because we got to beat our chest and show that we're the strongest country.
Yeah, it's it's tough, man. It's tough to swallow.
Yeah,
it's tough to swallow.
And I love this country a lot. I really do. I love being American and having freedoms somewhat. Definitely. Sometimes, but
questionable right now.
Yeah, overall, it's not the only great country in the world.
There are many out there successfully doing what a lot of people in America are afraid of.
Yeah,
and living happily.
Right. Yep. And I do believe it's
just not the American way.
Yeah, I know. We gotta work, sleep when you die.
Yep.
Eat a bunch of whatever shit you want.
Yeah.
And that's not sustainable.
No, it's really not.
It's about balance, and it's about, you gotta think about that balance always. Like they say in meditation, Vipassana meditation, equanimity is the goal, kind of a balance. You want to get too hyper, too crazy, and too down, just kind of more in that middle way, as they say in Buddhism. So that talk about a crazy experience, that 10-day Vipassana meditation retreat I did. Man,
oh yeah,
I recommend that to anybody that can take the 10 days off. I did it before I started school, April, when I moved back from California. And I did a 10-day meditation retreat, silent. You don't talk to anybody. You don't read. You don't look at anything. You just meditate for 14 hours a day.
Talk about going inward.
Yeah. And I mean, you feel like you're losing your mind the first few days. Like literally you feel like you're going crazy. I did, at least, and a lot of people report that. And then you just have this like ultimate, like just calm that you've never experienced, of just, I mean, multiple hours throughout the day I would have like just no thoughts at all. It would just be
that's so great,
crazy. And then and then what was insane though was at one point sitting there meditating in my room, and all of a sudden a Future rapper lyric comes up in my head.
I was just about to say, didn't some rap song start playing like day 8 into
like day 8, all of a sudden I hear fucking the bitch in a layup, hey. Like it's Layup by Future, like this song that's deep in my subconscious somewhere just comes out. That's what they said. Meditation kind of like unravels your subconscious.
Yeah. How
does it happen? They're like, well, how does a rope unravel itself? It just kind of does.
Yeah. And I mean, it's so funny because of what it was, the content of what came out.
Yeah.
But like, what does that mean?
Right. What else is deep down there? Yeah.
Why did that one stick?
Those lyrics, I've listened to that song probably hundreds of times by now, and those lyrics really just aren't, I don't know, the greatest, I would say, if you're being honest. And so you think about that, like this stuff gets in your subconscious. They even said when you leave the retreat, be careful going into like a convenience store or something. It'll be like overload.
Like stimulus.
All the colors,
overload.
All the different stuff just coming at you. It's all designed subconsciously to
we're
get
all
after you.
super powerful. We're warriors every day, man.
Yep.
Like just swimming through this world. Like if we can have a good day, that's seriously a high five worthy. Yeah, that's crazy. And you're super big into retreats.
Yeah.
You love the idea.
I love the idea of retreats a lot. Yeah, I'd love to do that as my short to medium term goal here out of school.
Because how all encompassing. A lot of people can't prioritize their health because of their lifestyle. So retreat from your lifestyle and prioritize your health.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it should almost be a part of health insurance. It really should.
There you go.
If they really wanted to insure health, they should allow that yearly, annually, if not biannually.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you can do everything. You can focus on everything that you can't otherwise focus on throughout a normal day.
They used to have it. It's part of our, naturopathic history. They had sanitariums where people would go for a week, 2 weeks, a month, even longer, I think, for really chronic diseases. And they would do everything, hydrotherapy outdoors. They would give them all the right foods. They would have them do exercises. They'd be out in the sun, like everything. And I just feel like that's a wonderful idea because I'd love to incorporate a whole lot of things. I'm about layering different therapies together.
Right.
Like, the Kangen water, electrolyte reduced water, and then cannabis in all kinds of different forms.
Right.
Psychedelic assisted therapy, if it's in a country that it's legal, which there are already quite a few that are, and it's going to be here someday soon too. So, many other things, meditation, yoga, acupuncture, chiropractic, like everything has a place in there for sure. But I just love that idea of somewhere where you escape your lifestyle, get taught a new way to live, help to find your, inner healer, and then go back, and then really it's about integrating that into your everyday life. Right. That's the tough part.
And once you do that and you have that experience, you will make small changes. It might not be, it's not going to be overnight. 100% of the time, but it's definitely about like working with someone who's willing to work with you, which is where I think naturopathic medicine shines. We want to buy in. We want to have you for a certain amount of time, and like help kind of like reconfigure your lifestyle, your relationship with so many pillars of health. And then you can do that on your own, and you no longer need a doctor, and your health insurance is in your food, it's in your movement throughout the day, it's in your meditation. Right. Yep. I love that. Yeah, man. I love that, man. Well said. Well, do you have any last words? I feel like this is closing remarks. Where at we? Do we? Hour 46. Hour 46. Yeah. Wow, nice. There's some good stuff in there. Yeah, we could keep going, but I'm starting to sweat, and it's just getting... I know, it got hot in here. Yeah, no air conditioning on while we record here. So, yeah. What final thoughts? What's on your mind? I enjoyed this. This was cool. This is kind of what you and I do. Yeah. Like pretty often, anyway. Right. I said, might as well record it. I love it. Yeah. Right. Exactly. And and this, by the way, for everyone who's watching the video, this setup you're seeing is 100% organic, Adrian. This is not put together at all for a podcast. Yeah, true. This is how it's been forever, man. You'll sit here usually, and I'll sit there, and all of this is like, you didn't have to move anything, buy anything, arrange anything differently. Yeah. And it looks terrific. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. I actually I took a picture of this and put it in my marketing paper with Dr. Ekampora. Oh, really? And she said, it looks very inviting and nice. It is. For like how my like clinic, like, couldn't you see this, me sitting there, and then, the patient sitting right here? Yeah. Like, way more inviting, man. It's possible. I just thought of that right now on the spot. Dude, yeah, but absolutely. I'm moving out of here August 31st, so I know. I mean, not happening. Bringing the furniture. Yeah, maybe. You have house calls. You're right. What you're saying. Right. Yeah. Telemedicine coming near you. Telemedicine. That's what you've had a few experiences. I've had a few. Yeah. So different. So anything else? Lastly, second thoughts? No, man. Thanks for having me. This was cool. I hope that this grows and grows and grows and grows. Yeah. I know you really well, and I can speak to your purity, and you mean everything you say. Thank you. And yeah, I was happy to get on here. Obviously, at this point in my life, I'm finishing naturopathic medical school. So it was super cool to talk about that. Yeah, man. I feel like also now in hindsight, I've said super a lot. Yeah. I have said super. That might be it's a great word. My adjective of choice at this point. I love it. At this chapter of my life. I really enjoy that. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks a lot, man. It's been great. And really enjoyed our journey so far these last 4 years, and to be continued. Cool, man. Thanks a lot. All right.